Hi, and welcome to the Ladies in Biz podcast, where every week we have guests that are amazing female entrepreneurs. Find out how they got started and grew their business. Discover how their story can help you grow your business. Thanks for tuning in today. Here is your host, Penny Redmond.
Hello, everybody. It's Ladies in Biz, and we have Barb Katz with us today from Socially Savvy Group. And hi, Barb. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks, Penny. How's your day going?
It's been pretty crazy, but it's been wonderful. What about yours?
Same thing. Same thing.
I think that's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing that you're out and about, and it tells you that, you know, we're living our life, living the dream. We're living the dream.
Exactly. I wouldn't be doing anything else. Love what I'm doing.
Well, I'm going to read off your bio like I always do. So I'm just going to do a quick one here so everyone understands who you are, because I know who you are. So we'll let everybody else know who you are. Anyway, Barbie, you specialize in interpersonal communication. You're a professional facilitator, and you teach people how to connect better in their business and personal lives by communicating in a more genuine and confident and memorable way. You're also trained as a coactive coach through Coaches Training Institute in San Rafael, I'll get it out, in California. You have your practitioner certificate from NLP Canada and holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree from Ryerson University.
Yes.
You're also the founder of Socially Savvy Group, and a company that helps business people increase their bottom line by connecting daily or connecting easily and authentically and quickly with others. So there you go. So you're about networking.
I am.
And helping people.
Connecting more genuinely with people.
Yeah, for sure. It makes a big difference. Genuinely, authentically, I mean, if there was a word in 2018, it had to be authentic.
Yeah.
And in so many ways in our business, it's not just being able to network authentically, it's talking to people every day in your personal life and being more authentic.
Absolutely.
Thank God for that, because I think it's so much more relaxing just to be yourself, right? Not to be somebody else that everybody else thinks you should be.
Well, you know, if you try to pretzel yourself up into who you think the other person thinks you should be, it's just crazy making, because eventually you're going to get, you know, outed, this is a lot of work. Did I say this to that person or that? Just be yourself. And the people that want to connect with you and like you are going to really like you for who you are. And that's where the best communication and the best connections happen for lifelong, colleagues and people in your business and personal life.
So that comes right into, I'm going to kill a myth right off the bat, because the other day I was talking to somebody else in one of our networking events, and they said we were telling them, the website needed to be updated, and they're a solopreneur, and should be proudly a solopreneur. They've had a great business for 18 years and done extremely well. They pull in people when they need people to do certain skills or skills they don't have. But they said, oh, well, on our website, in our content, we should be saying we should be we. And going, nah, no more. Just say it's you. Everybody knows. You can say I. You're a solopreneur. Being authentic is now admitting that you're an I, not a we, And everybody knows you need tons of people to get things done.
You could say I and my team. Depends how many people you want to put on your team for each project, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody is so different, and everybody's business. But before I get off on a tangent on that, Barb, one of the things that we love doing is being able to hear our guests' story and how they became an entrepreneur. So can you share your story with us?
Absolutely. So when I was in university, I was in a business course. I actually have a Bachelor's of Commerce with a specialty in hospitality and tourism. And when I was in that program, I always knew I was going to have my own business. I didn't know why, I didn't know when, but that's just the way it's going to be. So when I graduated, I was working at a hotel, and I was asked to go into the catering department. And I thought, okay, this is great. I love this. I love people. I love putting parties on. And about 4 months into it, the hotel closed. Like,
Oh,
doors closed, 1 hour open, next hour
your
closed.
first job, that's so sad.
It was, and I wasn't even there the day it happened. I was off sick and they called me. They said, don't come in tomorrow. The hotel's closed. I'm like, no, really, I'm sick, honestly. And it was closed. So the next job I had, I worked for a restaurant as their special events and front of house manager. And 2 weeks before Christmas, they closed. And then I worked for...
Was this an omen for you? Like, you know?
Oh, wait, there's more. Then I worked for another hotel, and they went into receivership. And I'm thinking, okay, the common denominator here is me, so this is not good. I ended up working for a medical association as their meeting planner. And I just got to the point and I thought, you know what? I want to feel like I want to take some control back in my life. And for me, control meant opening my own business and making my own choices. So I took the leap of faith. After our annual conference for the medical association, I gave my resignation, not knowing what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, where I was going to go.
No plan?
No, I did not. I knew it was going to be okay. In my gut, in my heart, I thought, this is it. This is what I need to do. This is what brings me happiness and joy. And a day later, I got a call from a colleague, and they said, I'm putting on a trade show. I'd like to be part of the trade show management team. Are you in? And I'm like, I am so in.
Yeah, because I don't have a job. I quit my job without knowing I had a job.
You know, that was my very first official client as an entrepreneur. And then subsequent years as a special event professional, I've been doing special events for 25 years. I got to work on numerous large scale events, 50,000 plus. I also worked on one of the largest events in Canada's history. We had almost 450,000 people for a benefit concert. And, we were put forth for the Guinness World Book of Records.
What was that for? What was
that? Was when Toronto had SARS, that SARS epidemic, and the Rolling Stones, who loved Toronto, said, you know what, we're going to do a benefit concert. So I was asked to be part of the production team. I looked after the special needs section, and unbeknownst to me, it was the largest special needs section that had ever been planned. We had over 2,000 people, just specifically in my section. And they said that we would have gotten into the Guinness Book of World Records had they had enough time to put a documentation team in, because that whole project was put together in less than a month. So,
did you sleep? Because I can't imagine the amount of details that were required for that.
It was a lot, and the production team that I was working with, everybody was just so on their game. And we were just, each person just focused on their particular piece of the puzzle. And when we put all the pieces together, it just was unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a great experience. It was one of the pinnacles of one of the events that I had ever worked on.
Sounds like it was a perfect example of an amazing amount of a team, like a team working cohesively together to ultimately provide or to achieve something over and beyond what would be normal.
Absolutely. And, it was everybody coming to the table with their expertise. And it was kind of like Star Trek and Captain Picard around the table asking all of his department heads, what's your viewpoint? What's your viewpoint? What's your viewpoint? You put all those great minds together, working together as a team, and, what you can achieve is unbelievable.
Wow. And what happened after that then?
After that event? I've worked with numerous Fortune 500 corporate clients. I've worked on a couple of events in, I guess it's the Rogers Center now. It was the Sky Dome. I worked on the opening and closing ceremonies for the Special Olympics, which was 72 countries were involved in that. And that really changed my heart, because I actually was with the athletes before they went onto the floor and went out for the parade of athletes for the opening ceremonies. And just standing with them, they didn't care if they won. They didn't care if they lost. They were just so happy to be there. That event really changed my heart.
So I know you do a lot of workshops because I've been at your workshops. So do you want to explain some of your workshops that you do, or tell me how you started getting into this type of workshop?
So like I said, I was doing special events for a long time, and about almost 20 years ago, this new fad thing called coaching started. And I thought, oh, what's up with that? That looks interesting. So I took the first course of a series of courses just for my own personal interest. And I loved it. I loved what it did for me. I decided, okay, I'm going to go through the course and get my practitioner certification as a coach, not knowing exactly what I wanted to do with it. But I love entrepreneurs. I loved entrepreneurs. So I actually started working with entrepreneurs as a coach and helping them get their vision of their business. So they were brand new entrepreneurs and what they wanted to, the vision of what the business was going to be like. So I was working with them. I ended up actually being asked to be a business advisor and coach for new entrepreneurs with the Toronto Business Development Center for a couple of years. So that kind of piggybacked onto working with entrepreneurs in a different way. And every time I worked with people, they kept saying, you know, you're so easy to talk to and you're professional, but you're just, you know, I love talking to you. You're so easy to talk to and you make it like just a warm and inviting space to work together. How do you do that? And I'm like, how do I do that? That's a good question. I don't know.
It could be authentic if the word existed and we used it in that way.
Exactly. And I actually started having clients coming to me saying, you know, I'm great at what I do, but, you know, I'm not so great at the people skills. Can you help me with that? So that's how Socially Savvy Group got started. So I work with different entrepreneurs and business people that want to connect better and more genuinely, because ultimately, you know, we are our own biggest assets as entrepreneurs. And whatever business we think we're in, relationship building is our true business.
Well, for entrepreneurs, without a doubt, there's no doubt it's that interpersonal skills make a big difference. Speaking of interpersonal skills, though, because I know a little birdie told me sometimes people call you the dating coach, and I know you're going, no, I'm not a dating coach. It's interpersonal skills, corporate, entrepreneurs. So how do you get the dating coach part?
I'm not a dating coach. Well, okay, so this is how that all transpired. So I was doing a workshop with a colleague of mine for, it was actually a meetup group. And it was all about helping group members kind of get to know each other, whatever. We were playing this really fun game that I actually still play, both with corporate and people in, you know, singles. And it was all about understanding, you know, other people and what their viewpoint was. So we had different questions about, you know, business and this and that and the other. And because it was actually a singles meetup group, we thought, you know what, we should throw in some dating questions. So the question we asked was, how do you know when someone is flirting with you? It's like the floodgates open. That was the end of talking about any other questions. We spent the rest of the event talking about body language and how to know when someone's flirting with you and the difference between the men's communications and women's communications. And it was just unbelievable because men and women were having conversations around their viewpoint and understanding the opposite sex like they've never had before. And people are like, oh, you got to do a workshop on that. And how about an online dating workshop? And how about this? And how about that? And I'm like, what? No, that's not what I do. And then the organizer came up to me afterwards. They're like, okay, so about that online dating workshop, what date are we going to do that? I'm like, what? What about that flirting workshop? And I said, okay. So I'm thinking, I'm a coach. What are you kidding me? What are you talking? And I went away and I wrote a workshop on flirting, which really is all about understanding body language and how to have a good conversation. And you know what? The skill set that I was teaching the singles is the exact same skill set that I am teaching business professionals, that I'm teaching anybody about how to connect better. You know, you don't ask, you know, you don't say dating when you're obviously going to a business meeting,
especially,
you know, or we have a business conversation, what have you. But the skill set is the exact same interpersonal communication skills, because once you learn it once, it is applicable for the rest of your life.
So I'm going to share with the audience that I was part of an audience when you did this, but it was a shortened version. It wasn't your longer version. And how much I enjoyed it. I just loved it. It was so wonderful. And I've been married for over 35 years. So I'm thinking, okay, how could this relate to me or anything? But I came home and my husband was asleep and I was going like this. You won't believe what I learned today. You won't believe it. I didn't even have a drink. Anyway, but it was true. Is everything that you taught was definitely not just for flirting, but it was definitely when you're networking and seeing those body movements or what people or how they're responding, and to be intuitive and understand why they're doing that, so you know what your next conversation would be with them, or the next whatever you would say to them, right, would make a difference.
You know, and how to make someone else feel comfortable. And, you know, the beginning of feeling comfortable is you feeling comfortable, because if you've ever been with someone who's a little bit anxious, and at the end of the conversation, you're like, I'm now a little anxious, what's going on? Like, do you want to have another conversation with them? As opposed to someone at the end, you're like, I really like them. I don't know why. I don't particularly remember exactly our conversation, but I just really enjoyed talking to them. You know, I had a really good feeling about it. And, you know, I want to see how we can figure out how to do some business together, because I just really enjoyed being with them and talking to them.
Yeah, that's all part of networking. Is, you know, you never want to do business with someone that you don't enjoy doing business with. And I think by the time you're an entrepreneur, it gives you that ability to be able to pick and choose who you want to do business with. Not that you should do that all the time, because, you know, but still, it's so much more fun when you're working with people that you really connect with.
You know what? And I've worked with people for, you know, 25 years, because I just like them as human beings. And they come to top of mind, you know, oh, I've got this project. I need to call somebody, and who do I want to work with? Oh, I know exactly who. You know, we'll have a great time. We always put together a great event or a great project or a great workshop, and the clients love it. And I love it. You know?
More importantly, right? And, you know, it just all works. So, Barb, right now, I know this is a lead-in question, and I think people will see through that this is a lead-in question for you, is what do you see as the biggest problem with entrepreneurs? What are they dealing with today?
You know what? I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, around networking and connecting. And they always say to me, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know, I feel like I put my foot in my mouth and what have you. So first of all, you know, I always say to them, go and talk to someone that looks interesting to you. Because if you're at a networking event, you know, you want to end up enjoying the event too, right? You don't want it to be work and drudgery, whatever. Go and talk to someone that looks interesting. And what do you talk about? The thing that looks interesting. You know, someone's got a really interesting hat or scarf on or what have you. Go and say, you know, I'm absolutely loving your scarf. Is there a story behind it? And it's amazing, amazing the types of responses. I actually had that happen to me a little while ago. It was a gentleman. He was actually wearing a duck scarf, like with ducks on it.
Oh, well, that would be very different.
Exactly. And I'm like,
fun.
I'm loving your scarf, because I love scarves, right? I'm like, hey, I'm loving your scarf. Like, what's your story with your scarf? And he's like, oh, this scarf, my wife bought it for me. We were in Paris.
Oh.
I love Paris. You know, we were in this little shop, and you know what? What am I going to talk about in that moment? Paris, because I know we both love Paris, right? So we had this great conversation about Paris and what have you, and the little shops and ducks and why ducks is I really don't like ducks. I like the horse one, but somebody else bought it before I got it. You know, so we're having this interesting conversation. And eventually we talked about, hey, you know, we've been talking for 20 minutes, but I don't know what you do. Oh yeah, this is my business. And we made it into a business conversation.
It's interesting how you can develop a rapport with them without even knowing about the business. And I think that's so important, that when you network, it's not about what you do, like what's your business. People clam up when you do that because of it. Oh my God, my elevator speech. What's in my elevator speech? Exactly. But by asking them something personal, it becomes very easy to do it. One of the questions I ask, and we'll have to go over some of the other questions, but one of the things that I like asking is what their passion is.
Absolutely.
And, you know, normally it kind of throws them off a little bit. It's not as good as yours suggesting about something like a scarf because it's more personal to them. But a passion, and I always say it doesn't have to be about work, you know, it could be anything, any passion that you, maybe they'll say music and we can connect with types of music that we like, or that we went to a different concert. And I also believe that it is also when you do that, don't you find you can remember that person so much better?
Absolutely. It really, because now you're connecting something about them to them, right? One of the questions I ask often is, you know, what's one fun, cool thing I'd never know just by looking at you? I did that at a networking event a little while ago, and the person said, I actually was in high school and I worked in this radio station and I was the runner and I got to meet some really cool people and we had this amazing conversation because I'm a musician. So now when I think of them, you know, running around a music station, whatever. And, you know, when you want to end up doing your follow-up, what are you going to put your opening line about? Following up about that wonderful radio conversation we had. Do you think anybody else has had that conversation with them? Probably not. Everybody else is saying, so what do you do?
And so also you become memorable to them, but more also they're memorable to you. Because I know if I saw a gentleman with a duck scarf on, the next time I saw him, I would see, you know, you could see the duck. I go, oh, that's Harry, the duck guy.
Exactly. Exactly. So they're more memorable to you as well, right?
So another thing that I was thinking of too is that today with the millennials, a lot of them are moving into, you know, they get jobs and they will, you know, may stay with them for, well, I'm not judging them. Please don't think millennials, I'm judging you, I'm not. You stay in the company for maybe 3 years and then you're moving, where maybe past generations might have been staying in the job for a little bit longer. So there was more of a comfort level, more loyalty level. So we didn't network as much. So if you were in a corporation, you'd be inclined to just maybe hang out with the people that are in your company, yes, not move out. So it becomes even more important for millennials to make sure that they continue with their networking. So if you were a millennial today, where would you do? How would you start networking?
You know what? First of all, that is a huge asset to anyone. Your network goes with you regardless of where you are, whether you're working for a company, you're working for yourself, you're working for, you know, contract positions. That is your asset that you should be starting to foster right off the bat, right? Because it really is about who you know, who can, you know, you can help them grow, they can help you grow. It's a reciprocal back and forth, a really beautiful, you know, flowing, organic, growing thing, you know, if you foster it correctly. And it's not just about, you know, what can you give me? What can I take? As opposed to how can we help each other?
Yeah, definitely. Which reminds me, because when I know for one of my daughters, when they were starting networking, they said, oh, it's so phony. But I think you can break that down and say it isn't phony when you do it in a sincere way, and you can expand on that.
You know, it is, because I remember when I first started in my corporate life, working for others that I kind of felt like, okay, so I'm putting on my business suit and I'm putting on my business mask and I've got to be perfect and I'm going to be the business robot, and bringing in my personality and my sense of humor and all my other pieces that make me me are not invited to this event. You know, I've just got to be this, you know, perfect business robot. And you know what? No one wants to do business with a business robot, right? It's unrealistic. You actually make yourself, you know, a little crazy trying to be that perfect business person. And it's unrealistic. You want to do business with someone who can say, that's a good question. I don't know, but I'm going to find out and I'll get back to you. And then you get back to them and you start trust building in that particular way. As far as the millennials go, you know, where do you start? You're at the beginning of your career, you know. I would say there's two different types of events I would suggest you go to. The first type is whatever industry you're in, find out where there's other colleagues of yours in that industry, people that are at your level as far as, you know, the amount of experience, and people that are much higher level, because you want to have colleagues at a full range of different places in their career, because you'll have people that are just starting out like you, that you want to network with because you'll grow together. And then you want to find colleagues that are willing to share and mentor you so that you have somewhere to go. You're like, I've never experienced this problem before, you know, what do you suggest? So the first place to look is, you know, industry events where these people hang out, as far as, you know, there might be some associations within your industry. The second type of events to go to are things you just really love. You know, for me, I love playing euchre. I love playing euchre. So I will go to euchre groups. Why? Because I just love playing euchre. And there's other people there that love playing euchre. So right off the bat, we're both doing something we enjoy, so we know that we have something in common. And, you know, if it's a monthly thing, we keep going back and I keep seeing the same people. And then all of a sudden we might be talking about different topics, and we might find that on a business level that there might be some synergy as well.
Yeah, I also think that it's good to even network, even your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes your neighbors, you can go in and out that door every day and your neighbors don't even know what you do. So I maybe they think I'm nosy around here, but I definitely ask my neighbors what they're doing, because I'm thinking if they're entrepreneurs and there's something that they do that maybe I know someone could use, whatever their service or their product that they're offering, that maybe I can help them out. So, and you know, there'd be a different age group. For if you're a millennial, they could be older people, and I like your idea about making sure that you're networking with not just with your peers, but also with people that are older, at different age groups and different levels make a big difference.
Different knowledges and different experiences, you know, it's about learning from each other, right?
Now, I feel pretty blessed because I've never felt uncomfortable going to networking events, but I do know I have some friends, it is painful, outright painful for them. So can you give some examples of, if you're an introvert, how can you deal with that? Because it's tough. Yeah.
I mean, my heart goes out for people that are introverted. I am a learned extrovert. So I sympathize with introverts because I know what it's like. A lot of the times when you're introverted, going out to that type of a large networking event, it just zaps your energy. You're exhausted. You know, introverts typically get energy from within, and extroverts actually get it from other people, right? That kind of fuels them. So what I say, you know, if you're introverted, firstly, before you go, you want to kind of get yourself in a good mind space. Do some things that you really love and really enjoy that give you energy before you go. So maybe it's
like a glass of wine.
It might be a glass of wine. It might be going for a walk in nature before you go to the networking event. It might be on the car ride down, putting on your favorite song like Bohemian Rhapsody or something and singing along, and just get yourself into a great space before you arrive. Then give yourself permission when you're there to if you're feeling drained, say, okay, that's enough for tonight. I'm going. Or, you know, if you need to take a break from the big, loud, busy room, go out into, say, the lobby or the foyer. There might be a quiet space where you can just sit and, you know, regather yourself and your energy before you want to go back in. Or if there's somebody that you're really having a great conversation with, but it's frenetic, there's a lot of background things going on, just say to them, I'm really enjoying this conversations, because typically introverts love deeper conversations. They don't like the surface happy chat, but they prefer one-on-one contact. So just say to the person, I'm really enjoying our conversation. You know what, why don't we go outside to the lobby? And I saw a couple of little wing chairs in the back, and we can have a little cozy conversation. And then you can continue your conversation. And typically that's not as draining.
Yeah, for sure. All the noise and the commotion around you, even for extroverts, can be very draining. And yeah, so
I go to a couple of events, and I will actually be at home for a couple of days by myself. Don't talk to anybody, to kind of rejuvenate, and then say, okay, I need some people contact again. And then I go back out. So I completely get what it's like when it's like, okay, I'm full. I don't want to talk to anybody else. And you need to do self-care and self-management and say, this is what I need in the moment, and I need to take care of myself, and just say, you know, that's enough for tonight, and that's okay.
even as an extrovert, I can tell you, I've just learned this in the last few months, where someone said that after you've been at a big event, you've met people, and then, you know, and then obviously you should the next day be able to respond to them to say, thank you, it was nice meeting you. But what was recommended is the next morning that you schedule a time where you can answer and send out the emails to say, hey, it was great meeting you, it was nice connecting, whatever. But now what I do is, if I know it's going to be a crazy night, if it's a party and there's networking and there's all kinds of people, then the next morning I put in my calendar, and I know it's hard if you work in a corporation, or it can be harder, but just shut your door or somehow figure out how you can work from home, or at least have some quiet time just to give yourself a time out, because it's networking is joyful and it can be so enjoyable, but it can really run your energy down.
I know when I go to events, if I know, okay, I'm going to a networking event that night, the next morning, I just schedule off in my calendar, like follow up. I just put follow up, and that's it. And nothing else gets scheduled in, because, you know, things happen and things bleed into the day, and something becomes urgent or whatever. You know, what if you had to go to a meeting the next morning? Would you go? It's in your calendar. But somehow or another, you know, we can have the tendency to let other things creep in because the follow-up we don't feel is as important. But think about it. Think about this. All the time you thought about, number one, researching the event you were going to go to. Number two, getting yourself ready for it, you know, deciding what you're going to wear, make sure, you know, for the ladies, your hair, your makeup, for the gentlemen, you know, looking groomed, polish your shoes, what have you. Go actually do the travel time. Go and be at the event, you know, meet some great people. It's almost like not asking for the date afterwards. Right?
It's like a call to action. It's for me, it would be like in social media or digital media, where you're offering something, but you never ask for a call to action. So all that time you've invested, you haven't gone the next level. It's like not asking for the sale. And I'm not suggesting it was that hard sell. I'm just sort of trying to make a more obvious point. But it is staying connected with them after, and just being polite to say it, right?
And I know, you know, for me also, at events, there are people that I connect really well with, and I'm excited the next morning or even that evening saying, hey, that was really great. I really enjoyed meeting you. And then there's other people where, you know, I might come home with a stack of business cards and I'm looking through them, I'm like, no idea who that is, no idea who that is, no idea who that is, right? So I would wait for those to follow up with them later. And the ones that you had that immediate connection with, you know, don't drop the ball, you know, within 24 hours, you know, maybe 48 hours on the other side of the window, please make some sort of contact with them. And even if it's just a quick email saying, I've really enjoyed our conversation yesterday, I'm out of my office for the next couple of days, but I'd like to reconnect with you beginning of next week. Something so that they know you enjoyed the conversation, and they don't, it's like lobbing a ball back and forth, and you don't want to throw the ball and it just fall to the floor and they're like, oh, this is awkward, now what?
Well, it's interesting when you're saying about all the cards, what I do is I prioritize them. So if the people that I connected with, like, because you get so many cards sometimes because people aren't taking the times to network properly because they just want to give out their cards as fast as they can, right?
That's a waste of your marketing dollars.
Yeah, or in everybody's time, really, in the end. So I only keep the ones that I've really connected with. And the other thing I do now, because it gets so overwhelming sometimes when you're with a network with 500 people and you're there for the day, is that I try to prioritize the people that I want to connect with.
Yes.
So if I connect with one wonderful person that day, I'm happy with that. And it's not all about getting cards anymore. It's just like, let's make sure it's a quality time that I spent with that person, that I can be sincere to them as well and listen to them.
100% agree. I would rather make 1 or 2 great contacts than 10 cards of people I don't really remember, or they don't remember me. And sometimes, I may connect with a couple of people, and then a couple of people will reach out to me, right? So they felt that we had a good connection. So between who I'm reaching out to and who's reaching out to me, maybe there's 5 or 6 that came out of that event. Or maybe not, maybe it's that really great one connection. Like, look at you and I, Penny.
Yeah.
We met at an event.
You did.
How does that snowball into other things?
Yeah, absolutely. We've connected on so many other different things and other projects. It's totally amazing that it's just come out of that one meeting, right?
Exactly. You just never know.
One of the other questions, Barb, I had that I really want our listeners to be able to hear your answer is, because I've never felt uncomfortable in networking, but I know I have lots of friends that do, is if you're, so if I'm boisterous, so if I come up to someone that is more introvert, is there something I should be reading, like anything that I should do differently than when it's someone that is introverted or someone that's just uncomfortable?
It comes down to body language, because, over 90% of our communication is actually nonverbal. So, when you're approaching someone, you want to just take a quick read of what their body language is, right? You want to find out, are they, more open? Are they a little more closed? You can just tell by the way they're standing if you go over to them and go, hey, how's it going? And they're like, right?
What happened?
Exactly. You want to see, you almost want to mirror the amount of interaction that they're having at the beginning. And a lot of the times when you start an interaction and you're warm and you're genuine, it just draws other people out. However, sometimes people can come in with really big energies, and the other people just kind of, you can see they physically kind of back away. They might step back or whatever. And you can just tone things down, or you can just, I'm a big believer of just calling things out as you see them, and you just say to them, oh, I'm sorry, I'm excited to be here and excited to meet you. I didn't mean to kind of with my enthusiasm. And they will probably laugh, and you will laugh, and that actually will be a point of connection, right? And then you'll say, don't worry, I'll tone it down a bit, right? And then you'll chuckle, and then you will see how you can match their energy. Everybody gives off kind of a vibe. So you want to match their energy, because think of it this way. Take on, like, if you are a host at a party, you want to make everybody at your party welcome and feel a bit taken care of, correct? Now, what if you went to an event, even though you're not the host, but you went it with a host mentality? You want to make the other person feel comfortable. You don't want to be ungenuine of who you are, and you also want to be mindful of what's actually going to make them comfortable. So you want to match that type of vibe that they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So Barb, the other thing is that I find awkward, and I'm getting better at it, but it still takes practice. But sometimes you're talking to someone and you're just not connecting.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to gracefully and politely excuse myself so I can move on. And I don't want to hurt their feelings. So can you give us some clues on how to do that?
Yes, for sure. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say people often feel that if they start talking to someone that, you know, they are now committed to talk to them forever. Right?
Well, networking, yeah, you shouldn't, there's probably some kind of guideline for timeline that you should be with someone for networking too as well, right?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're really connecting with someone and you're having a great conversation, you can talk with them the rest of the night if you're both feeling that that is the right thing to do. Sometimes, you know, people want to connect with as many people as possible. So, you know, what I say, you know, have a graceful exit. So when we're talking to people, there's always these natural ways conversations start wrapping up. And when you feel that that's happening, you can either decide, oh, I'm going to start a new conversation topic and continue talking to them. Or you can say, you know what, this was really great speaking to you. Thank them for something. So it might be during that, even a brief conversation, you know, they might have said, oh, you know, I was just at this great restaurant. They've given you a piece of information or they've given you something. Thank them for that. You know, thanks. It was really great. I appreciate your recommendation for that restaurant. I'm going to try it. I'm sure there's lots of other people here you need to meet. And I've seen a couple of people I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm going to take my leave now and go and speak to them. It was great meeting you, you know, shake their hand. And at that point, you're at choice whether you want to give them your business card or take their business card. And if you don't, that's okay too. There are 99 other people in that room. We are not going to connect with everybody. You know, we're just not. And that's okay because there's other people in that room that you're better suited to connect with and they're better suited to connect with. Or you can say to them, I just like if sometimes people come across and they're very intense on telling you about their business and you're thinking, I appreciate you telling me this, but really I am not your ideal client. And you can say to them, thank you for telling me about your client or your business. Just so you know, I actually am probably not your target market. However, I actually know somebody who I'd like to connect you with because I think that the two of you can really help each other. Take their card and tell them that you would pass it along. And you know what? Don't take it and say that if you're not going to do it. Do it and say it if you actually mean it, and then do it, right? Pass their card along.
It reminds me of a story years ago when I first started doing networking and was uncomfortable doing it. And I didn't have someone to help me like you. I can remember always not wanting to go unless I had a friend. So I would hang on and clutch onto that friend for dear life. Oh my God, if they left my side, it would mean I'd have to talk to somebody else, right? But so one of the things I would recommend is don't go with a friend, or agree when you go with a friend that you're going to split up. Because that's why you're there. You're there to network. You already know your friend. Why would you want to, you know, you came for the reason to meet other people. But,
and, you know, sometimes they're great as a wing person and you can introduce each other. When you
good idea.
Right? So if I'm talking to someone and they're looking for a natural holistic practitioner or a marketing person, I'd say, have you met my friend Penny? She is amazing. And I just heard her speak about Instagram and you need to talk to this lady. And then, you know, the two of you might start talking and I say, you know, excuse me, I actually am going to go and speak to someone I see and then I can take my leave.
Oh, terrific.
You know, I've helped facilitate it or you've helped facilitate a conversation. You take a graceful exit and you move on, right? So you're there and you kind of come together and kind of do this, but you're there to help each other as wing people.
Oh, that's interesting. No, I would just cling. I didn't want to go anywhere. I still am sometimes do. Well, I still, you know, even though I'm not an introvert, I find it still difficult for networking. So, so all to the introverts that are saying, hey, you know, it's hard. It's not always easy, but you've at least shared with us a lot of tools that we can use that can make it a lot easier.
I have one more thing, you know,
Great.
and one of the reasons that, you know, often we get really anxious and self-conscious at these types of events, and we find it really difficult, is because we walk into a room and start thinking about ourselves. I wonder what that person thinks of me. I wonder if what I said was, if it made me sound a little silly. I wonder if, and we're just so stuck in our own heads about what we think someone else thinks about us, that we actually are not having a genuine connected conversation with a human being that's standing in front of us. So I always tell my clients, number one rule, when you get to a networking event, go to the bathroom when you get there. Before you go into the room, go to the bathroom, get yourself grounded, make sure you look good, check your hair, make sure there's no broccoli in your teeth that you had for lunch or what have you. Walk out of the bathroom, and that is the last time you think about you. You are now walking to a room of people you know nothing about. They're all blank canvases. Walk in with some curiosity. And when you come in with a mindset of curiosity, of finding out about other people, you walk in with an openness. You walk in with, and it's funny, if you just stand there and you look around, you go, wow, look at all these people. Who do I want to talk to? You see, my hands are open, my body language is open. Often just standing there, people come talk to you, right? That's the best, when people just come talk to you. You just stand in one spot all night and people just keep coming talking to you because of the open vibe. You're not all caught up in your head and giving out this kind of weird vibe of confusion and what have you. When you're just there, grounded and open to the evening of what's going to happen, people just come to you and you have the greatest conversations. You meet the most amazing people. People are talking to you.
And I do love the idea about being curious, because I think that if you go in and you walk in, you're curious about the other people, then it shows a genuine interest in that. If people can feel that you're genuinely interested in their,
as opposed to walking in super sales mode and my goal tonight is to give out 50 business cards, whether people want them or not,
and not one will call me back because I just gave out credit cards.
They get home or they get to the office the next day, they look at your business card, they go, no idea.
Yeah, they were in the B file, unfortunately, not the A file. Yeah. So we've got to move on, because I know you've given us so much great information though on networking, Barb. This is wonderful. But one of the things I love being able to do in the podcast is give our guests an opportunity to give a message to entrepreneurs that they would really like to be able to share with them.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Thank you. Okay, so my big idea, my big message is, for entrepreneurs, it's really important to surround yourself with a great support system, both, professionally and personally. So, you want a cheering team, you want your cheerleaders on your team. So when you are going out, and doing your big pitch, you have all this support behind you going, oh, you're so great, go for it, go for it. I'm really excited for you. You want different people, in your life in different industries. It can give you different perspectives about something. You want people that are mentors, that just want to see you succeed, and you want to be mentoring other people as well. And, it's important because as entrepreneurs, sometimes you feel like you go to your office and you're kind of putting on that business armor and going into battle all alone. So you want to have some people in your life where it's a soft place to fall, At the end of the day, you can say, either I had such a crappy day, and they go, tell me about it. I just want to listen. And that just helps you grow as a person. And then you want other people, as I said, as cheerleaders saying, I believe in you. Go, go, go. I want to, I'm so excited for you. You do this. So I think it's really important as entrepreneurs to have a support system in place. And if you don't have one in place right now, think about, where are there other places of people that I can help support and they can help support me? So it might be an association where you're all in the same business. It might be something, like I said, like a general interest group where you all enjoy doing a certain thing, and you can go and foster friendships, and you want your cheerleading team.
Yeah, mastermind groups are good too. The associations are great for entrepreneurs. There's all different types of them. In fact, I'm going to write a blog about that because I was just introduced to another type today, and it really does make a difference when you've got a support system and people that are helping you through. Because it is, entrepreneurship, it can be tough some days. So it's amazing too.
Incredibly rewarding. It's incredibly sometimes character building. And there are times where you're like, well, that's an interesting problem. What do I do? You have your experiences, but if you have your support system, you can call other people and say, I have this thing that just showed up today. Can you, in your experiences, what do you think?
Yeah,
and they give you their professional experiences and personal experiences, and it all helps make you a more rounded business person, right? And you're also taking care of yourself and giving back to your support system as well to be supportive to them.
Well, speaking of supportive, so if people need to know more about networking and getting comfortable with it, can you tell me how can they connect with you? What is your website address?
The website is sociallysavvygroup.com. sociallysavvygroup.com.
Great. Okay, so that, and you can leave comments on there and everything like that, so they can connect with you. Their telephone numbers on there, everything. So that's good. Well, thanks again. Honestly, this was just wonderful. I had lots of questions. I learned lots today as well. Now I can gracefully exit now a little bit better. When you hear it, you know how to do it, but when you hear somebody else say and give you suggestions, it just is more cemented, and you're doing it the right way. So I'm sure all our listeners will find a lot of value in what you shared with us today. So thank you so much, Barb.
Thank you, Penny. And if any of your listeners want to email me and ask me if they've got some questions on how to connect better in their business life or their personal life or what have you, Barbara@sociallysavvygroup.com. Please email me and I'd be very happy to answer your questions.
Okay, terrific. So take care. See you soon. I'm sure at another event.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies in Biz. Send us your comments on ladiesinbiz.com. We would like to hear from you.